Hey guys, Tyler here, and thanks for checking out this video. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the gear that you should be shooting for to get the most out of your Marksman Hunter in 9.1, whether that be items that I deem as locks for your Shards of Domination, or just give you a pool of items to pick from Mythic Plus or from Raid to get the best secondary stats possible for your character. So, let's get started.
Mr. Eggplant presents.
So thanks for checking out my video, guys, and I will say right here at the beginning that it is going to be rather difficult to put a true blue best in slot video together, just because of one main reason, which is going to be main stat. So main stat, obviously, other than on rings and on your neck piece, goes up with item level. So most people would pick, oh, if this is a higher item level, you pick that one because main stat is better than secondary stat. I'm going to try to not follow that, but I will have two different sections. One section will be items that I deem as locks, basically trying to get your Shards of Domination and then one particular trinket in Raid. And then the other section is going to give you options, basically from Mythic Plus dungeons or from Raid, that will give you the ability to be flexible with your secondary stats. And the secondary stat priority that I'm going to be using for my video is going to be crit, then mastery, haste, and then versatility. But haste I want to set in anywhere between like 9 to 15%. I don't want to go over 15% because it's pretty much wasted at that point. And then also all the gear will be available to raiders that are going to be clearing heroic content. And then all of the Mythic Plus options will be up to 252 item level, which is completing a plus 15 Mythic Plus dungeon per week, regardless of if you time it or not. So the first lock item is going to be the Helm, which is the Shadow Steel face cage off of the Painsmith. So it's going to give you your Domination socket, and this is one you need for your Unholy Shards, which is what we're going to be stacking in Raid. So you definitely want to grab this one, and it's a haste over crit, so you already get some of that haste you need out of the way. So the next couple of pieces are going to be off of Sylvanas Windrunner, so I figured I might as well just talk about hers all in one go. So for the weapon, it would be the new legendary that drops for hunters only, which is Ray Shalar Death's Whisper. So the max it can be in heroic is going to be 246, which is actually under the item level of a 15 vault weapon, which would be 252. So I'm not entirely sure if you'd want to do the 252 over the 246 legendary bow, because the equip ability that you get is really good for single target and for AoE. So I would tend to, this would be the only time I would pick a lower item level bow, but I would pick the Death's Whisper over the 252 bow should you get one out of your Mythic Plus vault. And then the next item is going to be the Shoulders of the Master Ranger. So they are a 246 item level piece, and they do have sort of inferior secondary stats. However, they do fit nicely in our build because it does give us haste that we need. That way we can just do crit mastery items much later on, and versatility is always good. And this is the highest item level shoulder that you can get in heroic with the Domination socket. And then finally, the back piece, which is the Dark Ranger's Quiver. So it's a crit haste back piece cloak, and then it has that on-use effect. Every 10 shots, you trigger Withering Fire, striking up to 5 enemies in front of you for a little bit of damage, and then that does go up as you go up with item level as well. And this is a hunter-only item as well. And the next item is going to be the chest piece off of the Fate Scribe, and it is going to be the Conjunction Forged Chainmail. So these are going to be the right stats we want. It's going to be heavy crit over mastery. It does give us that Domination socket as well, and it is just statted better with our stat priority in mind than the other one in the Raid. And the next item is going to be the belt off of Kel'Thuzad, which is going to be the Ceremonial Construct Clasp. So it is a 246 item level piece, so it is the highest item level you can get on a Domination piece. And since we are a male user, Domination sockets do pop up on our waists. This is going to be a heavy haste over mastery item, and that haste just allows us to really only have like haste on maybe like 3 or 4 items, and the rest items in our entire build can be crit mastery, which is really what we're looking for. And the next couple of items are going to drop off of the Soul Render, and they are going to be the Rage-bound Leg Irons, which are boots, believe it or not. They are crit over mastery, and then they do have a domination slot for us since we are a male user, so these will be the best ones for us. And then the one trinket that I'm going to say is going to be a lock is going to be the Decanter of Endless Howling, which is a crit trinket, and then since we are stacking crit, and by the time you're done with this raid, you are going to be Kyrian most likely, so we are going to be critting often. So your crit hits have a chance to increase your agility by quite a bit for 15 seconds, and then if you are below 50% health, you do heal for a little bit as well. And then this does proc 1.5 times per minute. So you will see a couple of minutes where you'll get 2 procs per, and 15 seconds of a large amount of additional main stat is really, really good. And plus, it's not on use, so you can just worry about this one being a passive trinket. And the last 2 locks are going to be, of course, your legendary items. So for single target, the Serpent Stalker's Band of Trickery is going to be the best ring for you. You can go up to a 262 item level at rank 6. And then you want to have that be a crit mastery ring. And for AoE, you want to use the Talisman of Surging Shots, which can also go up to 262 item level, be crit mastery as well, and that goes in the next slot. So if you are wanting to do AoE, whether that be in a raid or in Mythic Plus, I'll give you a couple of options for rings to choose from, and then vice versa. If you're doing single target, I'll give you a couple of options for neck pieces to choose from in the next section. So in this second section of the video, this is going to be where I give you options. Basically, you want to choose whatever one's the highest item level to an extent. That way you can have a pool of pieces that you can pick and choose from. That way you can get the desired secondary stats that you're looking for. And then the secondary stat priority that I'm using, once again in this section of the video, much like all my others, is going to be crit, then mastery, then haste, but nothing more than 15%, and then versatility. So for the first section, it's going to be the neck piece. So the best one that I'm going to be using, and it's actually what I'm using on my hunter right now, is going to be this one here, the Azure Venom Choker. It's just heavy crit over versatility, and of course you would be using this one if you weren't using the Surging Shots legendary neck piece. And then the other one will come out of the Halls of Attunement, which is going to be the Sin Stained Pendant, which is haste over mastery. And now we move on to Risk, which the first one will come out of Mist of Tyrannus Scythe, which is going to be the Hive Swarm Bracers. So it is a mastery over versatility piece. It just give you good damage either way, whether you're higher on mastery or higher on versatility. It both increases your damage. And then the other one you would want to look for is going to come out of the Sanguine Depths, which is the Shackles of Alluring Vitality, which is actually what I have on my hunter right now. And it is a crit over versatility piece. So for this next section, it's going to be about gloves, and we're going to stick around here in the Sanguine Depths. So for the first piece would be the Iron Spiked Hand Grips. They are a mastery over crit piece of gear. So basically, if you want a little bit more mastery in your build, this is the way to go while keeping a little bit of crit strike. From there, you can go ahead and come down here to the Theater of Pain and pick up the Grips of Overwhelming Beatings, which is a crit over haste piece. If you want to just stack more crit, this is always the one to go with. It's what I'm actually wearing right now. And then it does give you a little bit more haste if your build does need that. And then finally, the other side, which is the Hikari Revenant's Grips, which is a haste over crit piece. So if you need a little bit more haste in your build, this will be the one to choose. And next up we have the legs, so we're going to go back to the other side, which are going to be the Technocoil Leggards. They are really good because they're a heavy mastery piece, so if you do need more mastery in your gear, you need a little bit of haste, these will be the ones to go with. And again, this is pretty much based on what you need in your particular build, based on what other items you actually have. And then the other legs are going to be out of Plaguefall, which is actually what I'm using right now, which is a crit over mastery pair of legs. So you just need more crit because most of our pieces of gear, particularly in the raid, most of the pieces that we're going to be picking up that are considered locks have haste on them. So you can really bulk up your crit and your mastery by getting these heavy crit, heavy mastery items like on your rings or legs. And next up we have rings. So we do have quite a few options of rings, because rings can really give you some padding on your secondary stats that you're looking for. And a good dungeon to always run if you need a ring is going to be Theater of Pain. The Flesh Fused Circle is really nice because it has heavy mastery over crit, which is really what I prioritize in rings, just because I'm going to be getting crit on most of my other pieces of gear. But any of these rings could work depending on what you need in your build, whether that be more crit than mastery, or you need versatility, or you need haste. This is usually the place to go. And then you can also get one actually from the raid from Sylvanas. So Sylvanas here has the Tarnished Insignia of Quell Thalas. It's a heavy crit ring. If you do need crit, let's say you're unlucky on some of your pieces of gear and they're heavy haste or heavy versatility or something like that, and you need a little bit more crit in your build, because I'm going to be shooting for like at least 35% come this coming raid, this one will be an awesome ring to pick up. And then last but not least, we have over here in the Halls of Atonement, which is the Signet of the False Accuser, which is a heavy mastery over haste ring. I actually have one in my bag right now. Even though it's a 207, I've kept it around just because it allows me some freedom to swap out some other higher item level pieces. And last but not least, we have Trinkets. So I don't think we have too many that are just really amazing, but trinket-wise, the Quantum Device is going to be really good, particularly if you can guarantee you get the buff of secondary stats, because the higher the item level goes on the device, the bigger the number of secondaries you get, and it goes up pretty significantly. So that'll be something you want to pick up for both rating and for Mythic Plus. Then we have Spires of Ascension, has our good old overcharged anima battery, which does give you a little bit of haste. It's kind of like a smaller PI that you can put on yourself every minute and a half, and it does manage to give you a little bit of speed as well. And then one other, well, I guess a couple other trinkets will be out of raid. So the Decanter is really good, and there are two others that I want to talk about real fast, which are, one is going to be the Relic of the Frozen Wastes, which drops off of Kel'Thuzad. This one is interesting because, so it's an equip, your attacks have a high chance to deal 170 frost damage and apply Frozen Heart to the enemy. And then whenever you use Trinket, it calls an Erubian to ambush the enemy, hitting them for 6k, and then anybody who is in between them take damage as well, which could be really good for like large AoE pulls, and it's only a minute cooldown. So I'm assuming if we use a multi-shot, like for example on a pack of mobs in Tyrna Scythe, it will most likely put a Frozen Heart stack on at least a couple of those, and then you would end up using the Trinket and it would just blow them all up and do a significant amount of damage AoE wise. I'm not sure how it works entirely yet, just because I don't know if the Nerubian comes from you to the target, that way you would have to position yourself, or if it's just random. So I'd have to get the Trinket in my hands to find out. But then the other one is going to be the Titanic Ocular Gland off of the Eye of the Jailer. So this one gives you a little bit of main stat, and then when it has an equip effect. When your health is above 50%, you are judged worthy, increasing your highest secondary stat, which will be crit, by 119, which is a pretty significant amount. It's over a Trinket's worth of crit, which is really good. And then while you're below 50%, you're judged unworthy, so you lose 119 from your base amount of crit. So basically, this one is going to be really good when you're re-clearing, when you're not in progression, because people tend to be less healthy during progression whenever there's more damage going out and you don't know how to mitigate it just yet. But I could definitely see the Titanic Ocular Gland being really good, like the Stone Legion General's Trinket was, after you're done clearing, because you can stay healthy and you'll have more health to lose. So thanks for checking out my video, guys, and if you guys want to subscribe to me, that would be awesome. I'm nearing 4,000 subscribers here on YouTube. Maybe we can get there before the end of this current raid tier. And then you can also follow me over at Twitch at twitch.tv/Mr. Eggplant. So I did this video a little bit differently than I normally would. I hope you guys liked it. Please leave me your feedback below. Like I said at the beginning, it is difficult to say, yes, get this item, get this item, get this item, just because if you don't get it at the highest item level possible, it tends to skew what you would use. But I'll do my best, and I'll change this video if it needs to be changed in a pinned comment or the description of the video. And be sure and check out my 9.1 guide if you're looking for all things Marksman Hunter. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.